Welcome to the Serafin Machinery Podcast. We are your seeding and tillage specialists, aiming to deliver business updates, industry stories, and special guests from customers, dealers, suppliers, and Serafin staff. Today's episode takes Rodney out to Cowabbie, New South Wales to catch up with Paul Passlow. Paul has a wealth of knowledge in the agricultural industry as his farm reached its centenary last year, with son Harry become the fourth generation to work the family farm. Now it's time to hear from Paul Passlow and our sales manager Rodney Dunn as they discuss Paul's farming operation, his experience with the Ultisow S12 seeder and the Ultiforce hydraulic down pressure system. Take it away, Rodney.
So welcome everybody to our Serafin Machinery Podcast. Here today we've got one of our fantastic long-term customers, Mr. Paul Passlow from, what would you call this area?
Cowabbie area.
Cowabbie. Yeah. Which is not too far out of Ardlethan, in sort of central New South Wales. Paul, would you like to tell us a little bit about what you've actually been here? I heard you were saying before when we were talking 100-year anniversary.
We did have our centenary last September of 100 years of farming in this area, which was, pretty impressive actually, as it turned out. Yeah. We were very happy with it, and it's we hope to continue it for a while longer.
That's it. That's the plan.
The next generation's sort of started now, and I'm backing out a little bit, but that's the plan, is to hopefully continue on.
That in motion.
Just to continue on for a bit longer anyway, while we can.
Oh, fantastic. So how many generations it's been farming in this particular property?
Yeah, Harrison, my son's on in this fourth generation.
Yep.
My grandfather came here in 24.
Yep.
And cleared a block, and it's back over that way a couple of kilometres, but we've just added on, and and it's all combined actually. The whole farm is pretty much all in one patch, so it's
Oh, beautiful.
It is
Beautiful.
easy.
So in regards to your farming operation, no stock?
No, we went out of stock probably 14 years ago.
Yep.
We just decided the workload was a bit much.
Yep.
We couldn't get everything done efficiently, and we decided we weren't employing anyone then. We were just doing it myself and my wife, and we figured that we could do the cropping side of it.
That's why the boys are off.
They were off doing their things, and
yep.
and they've got trades and whatever, and we've sort of got to the stage now where we've got the operation with about 2,000 hectares of crop. It's sort of become, it's more intensive because we're trying to do everything ourselves. We're not employing any contractors for anything, which makes work, and I need the workforce now because before it wasn't quite as intensive. But
true.
Now that Harrison's been home for a couple of years, it's certainly it's eased the load on me, and he enjoys doing it.
Excellent.
Which makes it easy.
That's what every farming father, I'm pretty sure that's what they want.
Yeah.
So the boys go away, come back, and take over and make a red hot crack of it.
Yeah, no, he's got a few skills and which are very helpful as far as farming side of things go. He's a qualified border maker and done a bit of few other jobs, and
sure
which is, it all helps. There's no doubt about that. So but our operation sort of runs on now just full stubble retention. And with the Ultisow, it's just a lot easier than trying to do it with a time machine, burning stubbles and stuff. We just sort of gone off that completely.
You've been down that path. You had the
we've
had a
done
flex coil, was it? Like a time machine.
And it was fine for what we were doing then, and then we've sort of transitioned into creeping all our stubbles, growing vetch, and now we grow vetch for manure crops. We've got a lot of bulk on the ground, and with a time machine we certainly wouldn't get through it without burning it or doing a fair bit of work to it. So the disc machine suits that side of what we're doing perfectly.
And that's what we're talking about before, is it's a disc machine's one of those, it's a tool. There is places for both. Really just got to be what your farming practices are, what you want to do with it, and they suit some operations. But
I think the way we've set ourselves up with everything we do is rotation is pretty set with either a vetch and then comes back into canola, cereals, and then back into a lupin and back into a canola again. It sort of lends itself to it perfectly. We haven't got to do any cultivation. We haven't got to do anything to our paddocks just to go and sow them. So
how long has that sort of been in your operation? That'd be what, 5, 6 years now?
No, it's probably longer than that. We did it with a flexi coil, but we struggled because we had to end up burning stubbles and we just couldn't do the job trying to retain the stubble wasn't, we're trying to do it. It just wasn't working as well.
Yeah.
We were having trouble with canola germinations in big stubbles, and then we'd have to burn the stubble to get it to germinate, which defeats the purpose. So we thought, right, we need to go to the next thing, which was the Ultisow. And once we did that, we found that, it's made a big difference as far as seed placement in big stubbles. You've got a lot more control, and you leave your paddock flat. It just, it really suits that style. We don't have to burn. I mean, now and again, in some years we might, if the crop all falls over and it's laying down, and then we have issues trying to, like with hairpinning, then obviously that's an issue. But it hasn't happened. It's happened, I think, once in the last however long. So we haven't really had to do that. We just, and if we can sow early and when there's not too much moisture, like doing what we're doing now, dry sowing is just perfect.
Dry sowing's a big part of it too, is being able to get in while the conditions are favourable for the disc, get in, get it set, and then when you get that first bit of moisture, utilising it.
Well, I think if you can, what we're doing, sowing vetch into big stubbles now, when it's dry, it's just perfect. You just don't have an issue. And as we sow all our canola either goes into a vetch paddock or a lupin stubble, we're not having the issues with any trash. So it's just, it just goes through the thing perfectly.
And you're also finding too with the stubble retention, you were sort of saying before that some of the weed competition, you're not sort of seeing as much. You're still getting some, naturally, it's going to be there.
We are, and it becomes, every paddock's a little bit different, but like I say, if you treat it like a vegetable garden, when you plant your vegetables and you put a heap of mulch around it, that's pretty much what we're trying to do. And it does alleviate some of the issues. We still have problems. I mean, we're still spraying for weeds, but I think it does help because we're keeping that stubble cover all over our ground, and it just doesn't let the sunlight, the seeds that are sitting on top of the ground don't seem to germinate anywhere near as much as they did. But that's in wheat stubbles, and canola stubbles and lupin stubbles are different again. So we just haven't got the cover there, but that's the process of just doing it when you can.
Sounds like you've got a pretty good operation, pretty good rotation set up. It's tried and tested. It's proven. It's been.
Well, the fact that we don't have lucerne, we've got to we can't keep buying truckloads of urea, which we do. We still buy truckloads of urea, but we're trying to input nitrogen through vetch and lupins, and we're pretty successful at the lupin growing, we think. So they're a reasonable money spinner when you grow a crop of them. But the vetch is mainly just a straight manure crop. We don't try and harvest it. We just keep it for nitrogen, and that's it.
Use it for nitrogen.
And that sort of alleviates some of our costs, but it's a cost to put it in, obviously. But I think it does hang over for a couple of years. You don't just get 1 year out of it. You get at least 2 in reasonable years. It will carry over for a couple of years. So we're pretty confident that that's what we're doing is working, and we're happy to keep doing it, sowing vetch and lupins, because it just fits our cycle of what we're doing.
So we're sort of looking at middle of March now. Putting vetch in now. What sort of rates are you putting out?
We generally sow between 35 and 40 kilos of vetch, which is probably a fair bit, but we want a lot of it. We want it just as much as we can get, because even if it does grow 2 foot high and solid and even higher, but that doesn't worry us because we just spray it. You just end up with a mat sometimes of stuff that's 3 inches deep of dead vetch, but the machine just cuts through it and there's no issue. It's just perfect. It just leaves you a mat of cover over the summer, and that's what we're trying to achieve. Cover over summer, and cover is king, as they say, because moisture retention is what, as I say, we're trying to be moisture.
Bank, really.
Well, we're trying to be moisture farmers. That's pretty much all we're trying to do is save our moisture. And that's what we've got to do, is just to save every bit we get. Because you just don't know when you're going to get the next lot. So
that's true. So with the Ultisow that you'll see coming up now, you had that for 2 years running the conventional spring system.
We did. We had it first 2 seasons. We did with just a spring setup on the arm. Found it had a lot of chatter in the reel tracks, and we had wet harvest. You end up with header tracks, and it just didn't seem to penetrate as well, and it wasn't even across the bar. So we decided to update, and Serafin's, we took it back down to Serafin's and put on the Ultiforce system. And look, I wouldn't be without it. I mean, if I'd recommend anybody who's buying one of them to Yeah, the Ultiforce is the next step
Yep.
from the disc seeding because it just gives you that accuracy and the depth. You're not going to have the issue with tine bouncing like your springs bouncing over, especially on hard tracks and spray tracks, which we seem to have because we're not cultivating. So it's just a more even placement, and the machine doesn't have the business of rattling on that spring because the hydraulic pressure just holds them pretty much stable.
Yeah.
And they do move, but it's not like a spring.
Yeah.
So
even though it was fairly noisy coming past us then.
Yeah.
The noise of the units. Nearly dead quiet.
No. It's the air seeder rattle makes more
You
noise.
hear the chatter of the units when they've got a spring, and you know that they're really
bouncing.
working. So, do you find, or do you feel that you're going to probably have a bit of reduced maintenance because you haven't got that chatter and that vibration go through the unit?
There's a 6 of one, half a dozen the other, because I think the fact that you've got hydraulic pressure and you can wind it up with electric control, you can put a lot more weight on it.
When you need to.
When we need to penetrate stuff. So that might create other issues with pressure on it all the time. But we haven't found that. We've done 2 years with it. We've found not a lot of difference. So I think the maintenance side of it, we were concerned that it might have put more pressure on everything, but it hasn't really changed the setup as far as that goes.
I know talking to a few customers that have run them right from the word go, they've actually found, compared to other machines that they've run, they're actually reduced the amount of down pressure they're running as an average. So where they'd go in and go, I'm going to have to sew at 700 PSI on that, that they might actually go, well, you know what, I can actually get away with 500 because I'm not trying to overcompensate for some of them. So it'll be an interesting sort of next couple of years. You've done 10,000 acres with it?
Oh, it's done 5 to 10, about 10.
10,
But I think every paddock's a little bit different, and depending on your soil type. And I think the fact that these veg paddocks we've got and the lupin paddocks, we don't run any stock on them whatsoever.
So they're pretty good.
They're pretty easy. We can back the pressure off on those paddocks quite easily. It's not, and depending on soil type, we've got heavy gilgai country, which some of the self-mulching, we just back it off completely because it just slices into that perfectly.
Do you find you can sow any faster?
Harrison always wants to go faster, but we just, I think the faster you go, you have a tendency for the thing to ride a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think he's figured that out. But we try to sit around that 10, 11 kilometres comfortably. If we're in a hurry and obviously pressure's on and something's happening, we can go up to, we can certainly go 12, 13, 14.
Yeah, quite comfortably. Yeah.
Quite easily. But I think it's also, like I said, if your discs are in good order, you won't have the issue of riding out, but when they start to wear a bit, and the faster you go, you can have the issue of them just riding out a little bit, just because of the speed. And even though the hydraulics is definitely better than the spring, as far as keeping them there, you still have that little bit of an issue. But like I said, depending on your soil type and what's going on.
Exactly.
So.
Let's take a step back from the Ultisow. Where did our business interaction start?
Oh, we bought a fantastic little...
I love talking about it.
Well, only bought half of it.
You did. So, that was a little eco offset.
A little eco offset. We were looking for something to do fire breaks with.
That's right.
It was at the time we were struggling to find something, and then these little things come up
with
the Serafins, and we thought, we went halves with a neighbour, and they were cheap as dirt. They were, but sitting in the shed in there, and but it goes like a train. It's an excellent little thing for the amount we do with it.
I quite often laugh and tell people that story about I actually had an eco customer turn into an Ultisow customer.
Well, to a point. It's you try and buy disc machines now, and obviously prices increased and all the rest of it. But that little thing at the time, it was just bargain basement. It was a true value thing.
You couldn't buy something at a clearing sale that was all busted up and anyway for the same price.
No, and it was, for the amount we use it for fire breaks with a neighbour, he uses it same. It's perfect. It just does a terrific job.
It's simple, basic.
Yeah, and it's very simple and very basic, and you can't get into trouble. Usually.
Usually, that's right.
Usually.
That's right. Fantastic. Well, thanks very much for your time today, mate. Really appreciate it. It's been fantastic coming out, having a bit of a chat, seeing the machine work.
Excellent.
Meeting Harrison, good young fella. He's doing a good job. Obviously, he's a good operator too. You can see he's doing a fantastic job.
Oh, we have a few hiccups now and again, but who doesn't?
That's part of
That's it. It is. But anyway.
Fantastic. Thanks very much, mate.
Thanks, Rodney. Perfect. No worries.
Right, everybody. Well, that's it. We'll call it a day for now. Thanks for listening. Make sure you subscribe because, this is going to be a nice regular thing. So thanks, everybody. See you next time.